A Story, Echoes of Our Dreams by Kevin Stewart. I'll bet you could easily recall moments of great stress in life, frustration even. Some of you may be in the midst of experiencing these things right now. Life's journey has a way of creating dissonance at times. We get focused on achieving the dreams we set out to accomplish in our careers and sometimes fail to remember why it all matters. The labor of working toward our dreams can ultimately become the death of them without adequate guidance. In every stage of life, it's important to have a mentor. We should never stop growing. Take a few moments to consider how this story relates to your dreams. This is a story about a little girl and a little boy. We'll begin with the story of the little girl. She grew up in a household with 8 brothers and sisters. They were poor, and her family were working-class people. Her father, the primary breadwinner in the family, was a tree surgeon. He would hire local guys from around the town to help him out from day to day. On Fridays each week, he would pay them in cash for their work. Her father worked hard and would come home late many nights, exhausted and spent. She and her siblings attended public schools, which didn't receive adequate funding from local government, like some of the nicer schools only a few miles from their area of town. They didn't receive tutoring or mentoring outside of normal child rearing and had to grow up quickly, finding jobs to help with bills and work around the house after school. She completed her education after 2 years of college with mostly B and C averages. Unfortunately, she never gained much confidence in her own abilities. Her family did the best they could, though, ensuring that each child practiced good manners, maintained good hygiene, and stayed in school. Life wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't until later in life that this little girl realized just how poor her family had actually been during her childhood. She was 16 years old when she dreamed of owning her own community grocery store. The thought of being on good terms with local residents, financially stable, and providing customer service to her community was appealing to her. This is where we begin with the story of the little boy. Being the younger of 2 children and well cared for, the little boy's life was different. His parents were also working class people, but life was good. His family made sacrifices to ensure that he and his sister could attend private schools for the span of their academic careers, all the way through college. As a result, he was exposed to greater opportunities, eventually becoming a tutor and mentoring counselor for his peers in high school. He had quite a few friends, played sports, and had confidence in his own abilities. At his high school graduation, he received honors in life sciences, physical sciences, mathematics, and counseling. He dreamed of becoming a physician one day. The thought of putting his passion for the sciences to work in a bustling medical facility was very appealing to him. Making a comfortable living for himself was easy to imagine, given his access to great resources. As it happens, the little girl and the little boy crossed paths in life. About 14 years after they met, the boy asked the girl what she had always wanted to be when she grew up. She smiled and proceeded to tell him about her dream of becoming a local grocery store owner, taking pride in the idea of owning her own business. Upon hearing about her aspirations, the boy chuckled rather insensitively and rhetorically asked why she would ever want to own a grocery store. After all, it didn't seem like a very lucrative career, and it really just sounded silly to him. She didn't speak much of it after that. You see, her dreams were shaped by the community she grew up in, the opportunities she had been exposed to, and the extent that she saw her own peers strive to make their dreams a reality. In fact, the family which owned the grocery store in her community as a child was financially stable enough to give money to families in the community who struggled from time to time. It left a lasting impression, and she dreamed of having that same ability to give one day herself. In comparison, the little boy's opportunities were significantly broader, his schools significantly better staffed and maintained, and his education rated significantly higher than the little girl's. He had the ability to dream bigger, envisioning himself as a successful physician. Looking back on the situation, I sometimes feel sadness inside that I had been so insensitive as a privileged 14-year-old child in the wake of my mother's expression of her childhood dreams. I know it didn't rattle her one bit, though. Her life was my life by this point. The only thing that mattered to her was that my sister and I succeeded in our endeavors. I didn't understand at the time, but it taught me a very valuable lesson that I will never forget. Our developmental environments matter. Our access to resources matter. Like a goldfish in a fishbowl, its growth will be limited only by the space it occupies. The reach of our vision directly impacts our dreams and ultimately our levels of success. My mother passed away years ago now, but today I apply that same lesson by striving to be mindful of the opportunities I have been and still am afforded. What lessons have you learned in life that keep you mindful of your opportunities? How can you employ these lessons to build a lasting legacy and ultimately make the world a better place? I've been Kevin Stewart. Thanks so much for watching.